Hey, everybody. Welcome to another episode of the My High Game Guys Board Gaming Podcast. I'm your host, Adrian.
I'm Zach.
And I'm Jeff.
And I promise to you that this podcast that is sponsored by Gray Fox Games is still a podcast. That still does happen sometimes.
Remotely. From the safety of our own
Remotely in
homes.
times of COVID.
Yeah.
In the times of COVID.
Yes.
And amidst Jeff's rolling internet outages.
Only personal rolling internet outages, really.
And sure, we could have just been like, fuck it, let's just do it, me and Adrian, but...
Then it would just be Zach talking about board games.
Exactly.
Yeah. I still would have pushed for that if Jeff's internet had went out tonight, because there's been a noticeable uptick in the amount of snide comments on the Slack channel about the frequency of episodes the last few weeks.
And also the lack of communication about said frequency.
Also true. So we own all that.
Yep.
You know, if you've been fans of us for long enough, you just kind of know that communication, not our strong suit.
Nope.
So everyone should enjoy their episode every other week.
Correct. We did most podcasts for years. We're just taking a break, and we're doing least podcast for a few months.
Distance podcast.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Definitely not the most distance, because we're all still within like 20 minutes of each other. So
you two are like 5 minutes from each other, and I'm like 25 minutes from you.
That's fine.
I don't think I'm even 5 minutes from Zach. He's real close.
Yeah. I am the most traveled.
That is true.
Especially with work now. Like, I clearly have the most commute from our friend group, as far as I'm aware.
Yep.
You've got to move
33 miles each way.
Fuck that.
And it's still totally worth it. Like, Avery's awesome. Like, it's great.
And it gives you a chance to drag race at the end.
Oh yeah! Every time I'm going home on a Wednesday, like second Wednesday, like dozens of like racers in their crazy Subarus and just stock Corvettes, like modern, will decide to just stop in the middle of the highway and drag race on my way home at 11:30 at night when I really just want to get home. I could join them anytime.
Yep.
I'm sure.
Yep.
Yeah. I'll just be like, Corvette, me, Hyundai Elantra, 2005. Let's do this.
Currently can't pass its emissions. Let's do this.
Yeah.
Yeah, it can't pass its emissions because of the NOS.
Yeah, that's why. Why do you think the check engine light is on?
The light means check out this fucking rad engine, man.
Yeah. That's why the light is on.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
It's on fire, figuratively and literally.
I got the cooling problems. It's paid off. Because that's what engine repairs are nowadays, just paying off car repairs.
Note that you didn't say fixed, you just said paid.
I threw enough money at it to put it on hold for 6 months.
Yep.
It's fine. I'll have a Nissan Rouge coming sooner or later. So.
Oh man. All right. Well, we'll come back maybe to some of that in banter.
Yes.
But let's start on this board gaming podcast to talk about some board games. And we're going to start talking about board games by me announcing I have not played any board games.
In 2 weeks.
So I'm not going to participate.
Yes.
But I'll turn it over to Jeff. How about you start? What board games have you been playing lately?
Besides the Kingdom Death Monster hour, we'll get to after the Blood Bowl minute, I have been up to some general board game shenanigans. I got in the Hero Realms box. The Hero Realms box as in like the organization box that you can do with like how they made with Star Realms.
Gotcha.
I didn't do it on the Kickstarter originally, which I would have gotten with the rest of my Kickstarter stuff. Because I was like, it's an extra $40, whatever. And then it came up for pre-order later, and I was like, now I have an extra $40 to do the Kickstarter Hero Realms box. So I organized all of my Hero Realms set, played a little Hero Realms. It's nice
solo, or were you playing with someone else?
It was solo.
Okay.
It was nice to be able to go through and organize all that stuff and kind of see how those campaigns are actually broken out. In the Hero Realms box, there is dividers for like the class and then the class skills and abilities. So all the campaign skills and abilities are sort of separate from that starter set you get. And now there's 2 campaign boxes with a 3rd on its way, inevitably. Hero Realms is still fun. It definitely has a different sort of hook to it with the whole campaign thing, which I would like to actually play a multiplayer campaign for it, because now there's 6 encounters, and we played that one with Wes at like Odyssey Brewing on a game night many years ago at this point.
Oh, yeah.
I have broken down those decks, so we have lost our progress from the first
Shocking.
and only game that we have, just because it was easier to organize that way. I do need to order more sleeves for Hero Realms, but I now have like the long box of Star Realms and Hero Realms free to a good home. So, but Hero Realms still fun, still interesting. I would still play Hero Realms and Star Realms both together. It just sort of just has a little different flavor to it, even though the theme is just basically sci-fi versus fantasy. But the way the champions work in Hero Realms is just different enough from stations to make it interesting. So yeah, Hero Realms. That was the latest and greatest. After that, I had purchased the Pandemic Rapid Response, which is like a pandemic game that's not done by Matt Leacock.
Matt Leacock,
Right.
yeah.
It is not by them, and it is not the Hot Zone North America that came out at the worst possible time from him, which was sort of the demo pandemic, I guess you could call it.
Yeah.
Sure.
The Forbidden Island to Pandemic as Pandemic is to Hot Zone North America.
Correct.
But I picked up the Rapid Response. I haven't had a chance to play it yet, but it is the dexterity game version of Pandemic. Reminds me a little of Fuse, but not the first Fuse. The Fuse second game in the Fuse universe. What was it? The hospital one. Where you're
fuck.
saving all of the bomb victims from the...
Yeah.
Oh,
God. Oh, come on. Fuse doesn't have a re-implemented
Flatline.
violence section.
Flatline.
Flatline, yes.
Because it's not a re-implemented. It's
I know.
Yeah, it's sort of a sequel.
I was hoping it'd still link to it somehow.
Yeah. But this seems like a sort of re-implementation of kind of that next level, but, real-time board game Pandemic.
Yes.
Hence the Rapid Response. I got it for real cheap. It was more than half off, because apparently it's not blowing everything out of the water. Unlike fucking Gloomhaven Jaws of the Lion, which had to stay 1 month Target exclusivity window, and it's fucking sold out everywhere. And
it is the fucking hotness.
Yeah, that's gonna be it's gonna be fucking number 2 on Board Game Geek all time at this point. But I look forward to playing that too, because it's more Gloomhaven, and the way they do Gloomhaven in that, with the spiral bound notebooks being the actual maps, that seems like that's so smart. You should have fucking done that originally. Oh my god, the tiles in that are a nightmare level of the worst part about Gloomhaven.
That's why he's going to be making that for Gloomhaven and Frosthaven.
Is that going to be is he going to do the...
I feel like I saw an update on it, or at least it's... People are asking him to do it. It's one of the two things.
But fuck the tiles and make a book of maps, or 2 books that fit together, or whatever. That could be interesting.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah, Jaws of the Line. It's a big deal. Played some Cabo, 2-player game of Cabo. Cabo continues to be great. I was getting... it's a great game to teach anyone, really, at any level, because I was getting hammered in my first couple rounds of Cabo. Did end up winning at the end, but it was 4 rounds of 0 to whatever I had.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Just to answer it, he is going to be making it for Frosthaven and Gloomhaven.
Okay.
Oh, cool.
All right.
Separately. You can purchase them separately, so...
I feel I could throw away most of the box of Gloomhaven at this point.
Right.
Because...
what would you even have left, man?
It would be
just
the tiles are gone, all the boss cards are gone, because those are all app implemented now, which are great implementations.
Mm-hmm.
Characters, character cards, item cards, anything that has to do with the player, really. That's about it.
And then the monsters. But
and then,
that's
the
half the box. So.
Yeah. I think that was a criticism of Gloomhaven, that most of this box could go away with a decent like implementation digitally and/or these spiral notebooks for maps and stuff like that. Because the maps never seemed like they were huge.
Right.
So Cabo's great. I did a little solo Gloomhaven because I was missing out on the Jaws of the Lion. I'm still not up to where our campaign has ended like 2 years ago. So
right,
but it's going slowly with the engineer dude that Adrian played in his one and only game.
Yeah.
Yes. And a couple games of Blood Bowl and some Kingdom of Death, but we'll get to those later.
Right on.
Yes, we will.
Zach, what about you? What have you been playing?
Well, I've only really played one game. Well, we'll say 2 games. The first one was two new Exit games came out. So there's one that's about a stormy flight, like you're pilots and you're trying to stop a plane from falling, but it's a 2 out of 5 difficulty, so it's going to be fairly linear.
Was Leslie Nielsen in it?
I don't know. I didn't play that one.
Okay.
I haven't played it yet. But the other one I played was the Theft on the Mississippi, and the reason we played that one over the flight one.
So you could bring out Dinosaur Lawyer.
No, I did not. It's before his time, because it's it took place in like 1880 or something like that. You're on a steamboat, and somebody's notes or documents got stolen, and you're trying to figure out who did it. And this is a 3 out of 5 difficulty, so it doesn't have that strict linear fashion. You'll get stuff that you don't know if you have all the stuff to complete until you get all this stuff, and you're like, oh yeah, no, I can totally see that we needed more here.
Yeah.
There was at least 1 or 2 times we ended up like using a clue, and it was just like, you need this, and we're like, okay, we don't have that, so good to know.
Good to know.
Yeah. It was another good mixture of interesting things, like continue to add things that are different than previous ones, which is good. This one had, and it's basically like in the intro, or it's spelled out for you in the beginning, so it's not really a spoiler or anything. That you have these suspect cards, and you have this giant map that you have these little basically tokens of them that show all these different spaces. It's like the lounge or the bar or the piano, and you're like trying to place where everybody is so you can find who's the person that doesn't have an alibi. And so like you talk to them, and then once you finish their clue, you flip it over and it gives you more information. So it was cool to see another like unique version of this. It had some of the it had a couple of really cool puzzles. It had a couple puzzles that you're like, that was so frustrating. Like it includes like one piece of information that you're supposed to like really focus on that you don't realize that, and then once you look up the hint, it's just like, oh, you need to do this, and we're just like, god damn it, that was stupid. But it was enjoyable enough overall. Probably in the top half of ones that I've played, but in the lower part of the top half.
Okay.
Yeah, I would definitely recommend people try this one, especially over some of the more linear ones. So after we got done playing that, so it was me, Wes, and Paul. We went over to Paul's place on Saturday, and we decided, like, we weren't sure if we wanted to play another game or not, and we ended up just playing some Cribbage, which was nice to play again. And the game ended up winning. The final, like the score on the final hand was Wes was at 119, I was at 119, and Paul was at 116. So it was the closest I had ever seen in a 3-player game.
Okay.
But basically, we compared afterwards, and Wes ended up winning. But in Paul's entire hand, he had four cards. One of them I would have been able to match, so it would have been a 25% chance of me winning. But any of the other cards he would have played, I would have had to play something that Wes would have either gotten 15 on or a double. So there was a 75% chance of him winning once Paul drew his hand.
Okay.
So, but it was still,
so
still
basically
fun.
Paul was first loser.
Yes. Oh yeah, especially like if we had somehow made it without scoring, then he would have been able to score first because Wes was dealing,
Mhm.
but especially because both Wes and I only needed 2 points, it was too easy for one of us to get either a 15 to 31 or a pair. So,
Okay.
but yeah.
Right on.
But that was it, besides Kingdom Death. So,
Okie doke. Well, yeah, nice little short what we've been playing on that one. So we can move back over to Banter, I guess.
yes.
Sure.
Banter is noticeably harder when we don't have social lives. And when it feels like there's much more important things to talk about than like random inane shit.
That's fine.
That's fine. But speaking of random inane shit, if you aren't watching the Marble Olympics on the YouTube,
Marble
Olympics.
Yeah, so it's
Marble
Jelle's
Olympics.
Marble Runs.
Yes.
Yeah.
JMR, and they just started the 2020 Marble Olympics, and they've had today was the second event, which was the half pipe, and I don't know how much we want to care about spoilers for something like that.
Well, I'll say just for context, if you have no idea what it is,
Please explain it.
Yes. You actually, you know what, Jeff? You don't get any context.
Oh, great.
No, but it's basically this guy does like little Olympics, but instead of teams of like countries, it's different marble teams, and so he has like sprinting. It'll be like a 5-meter race, and he has a starting line. He'll pull, it will electronically trigger the gate to open, and then they will all run down, and then you'll have a winner, and then it's going, it goes through. Go ahead.
May I interrupt? This is
Yes.
John Oliver's Last Week Tonight sponsored.
For this year, yes.
Okay.
For
Which
this 2020 Marble Olympics, he is sponsoring the Marble Olympics specifically, not the overall channel.
I do
Correct.
distinctly remember the sponsorship episode from John
Yes.
Oliver.
Yes.
Okay.
Which he had brought up just to be like, there are some good things in the world right now, like this, which
Yes.
is legitimately great. And I mean, so you would think, oh, they're just marbles. They're not like it's all random or whatever. But I mean, you have just as much control over rooting for them as you do other people, like people in the Olympics, like the U.S. doing something versus South Korea or something. You have no control over it. So you can just root for whichever ones you want, and you can take it seriously in a fun way.
Yeah, so I've known about these for a little while, and like I've watched some of the older ones, like especially like he had some that were like sand track marble races that
Yes.
were more like a race car race and narrated as such.
Yeah, so the person who makes it doesn't narrate it. He got like an actual narrator, a commentator on it, and he does a very, very good job of like pulling you into it, like, and acting as if the marbles are actually like living, more or less.
As if they have strategies and things that they're executing, and like, oh, they're gonna be disappointed with that run.
Mm-hmm.
You just wonder what happened there that it came apart so badly, or like, yeah,
there will be
shit like
there will
that.
be times when a fan
everything's
marble
timed down
will
to the-
jump. A fan marble will literally like jump onto like the track or whatever thing that they're on, and it'll have like little security marbles go grab them and then pull them off.
Yeah, he does a
timed
lot
down
of
to the thousandth of a second for like
Yeah.
these
Oh, yeah.
races.
Yes.
Yeah. And they do all different kinds of things. So like I said, like I had seen previously the like dirt, like sand track rally style ones, and those were fun. And it was like, haha, that's kind of cool. And I don't remember. I think I was just bored at work on like one of my Sundays when the plant was shut down. I'd done all of my PMs, and there was just literally nothing else for me to do. And I was bored out of my mind. I was browsing YouTube, and I saw the elimination series, the Cravendale Cup
Yes.
elimination series, which was the series that just wrapped up before the Marble Olympics, and
Which is basically its own thing. It was Cravendale is a type of milk in the UK, filtered so it lasts longer. I only know that because it kept fucking. I kept
constantly said it. Constantly.
But it was like 6 teams that were only like that was the even though he gave them history, like that was the first time that we had seen them. And they're like it was 6 or was it 6 events, I think?
Something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, 6 events.
Yeah.
And so, and I got weirdly hooked. Like I watched the
There's
qualifiers.
nothing weird about it. It's not nothing weird about it, Jeff.
No. So I watched the qualifiers, and
all regular human things.
All regular human things. And at some point during the qualifiers, like I latched on to one of the teams, which was the Freshers, and I was like, all right, the Freshers, they're my team, and they did pretty good in the qualifier, and I was like, yeah, they're gonna do really well. They did not overall in the Cravendale Cup do well.
Who did Craze of Glory killed it. It was great.
Oh yeah. So I made a post. Let me scroll back here. I was trying to find it. I've made a lot of posts lately. And in more lighthearted news, today was the final crushing nail in the coffin for the Freshers in the Cravendale Elimination Series. Tomorrow is the first event of the 2020 Marble Cup, though. Was my Facebook post, and that was like, I try to mix in some lighthearted shit every now and then because my Facebook is like all politics right now, and it's tiring sometimes. So Zach and Mike Jones and some other people had like a little conversation about like what teams are you rooting for in the cup, blah 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 blah. Megan messages me that same day, like a little bit later on in the day. She goes, "What is the Freshers in Cravendale Elimination Series?" Your Facebook post makes literally no sense to me whatsoever. So I sent her a link to the first event, which was the cup run, where like the whole goal is whichever marble stays in these like descending series of funnels the longest. Yep. And so I just no explanation, nothing, just sent her the link. She comes back, "I feel like I wasted 6 minutes of my life." I go, "What? No, it's exhilarating." She goes, "Well, it's no Hedgehog Warrior." Which, if you haven't watched it, there's an American Hedgehog Warrior series that's a guy who made obstacle courses for his hedgehog and that he narrates himself. Also fantastic entertainment in the time of COVID.
Nice.
But I told her, it's okay. Fun isn't for everyone. She says, "You're right. That's why they have to fill their lives with marble races." And then
this is gonna be awkward trying to find a new like place to record since you're gonna be moving out of there.
Yeah. It's gonna be really awkward trying to find a new girlfriend who appreciates marble racing. But yeah, so in that Facebook chat, we talked about some of our teams. Personally, for this one, there's 16 teams in the Marble Olympics. I am rooting for Balls of Chaos and Galactic, which are
Team Galactic, which is the home team.
They're the hosts.
There's a host curse that like
came into play in the first round for sure.
Yeah, Jeff, to give you context, the Oceanics held the cup last year, and they did so badly that they fired their coach about 2/3 of the way through when they were mathematically eliminated from placing at all.
Most impressive.
Yeah.
I wish I could do that with some Blood Bowl teams.
I know, right?
Switch coaches.
Oh, yeah. It has been so like it's one of those things like sports aren't around right now, you know, and like a lot of people like myself, like I watch sports. I think this is why Paul's like getting really into UFC right now. It's like the only sport that's actually on.
Right.
Because they're doing Fight Island, where they can just do whatever the fuck they want on their own private island. Yeah. But
just
like
more testosterone.
More testosterone.
Yes.
Yes.
The like passionate, like the announcers are what makes sports. I have discovered, and that's what.
Yeah.
If there's one thing I've learned from the Marble Olympics and the entire Jelle's Marble Run series, it's that's the key is having a good announcer.
They had last year or earlier this year they had a Marbula 1, which was Formula 1 but with marbles with all of these different tracks. It was very cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
I think the best part of John Oliver or of last week tonight is that not like when they were sponsoring them, so they were looking for sponsors because they to make sure they could actually run it this year, and so he decided to sponsor them, and I was just like, oh great, like they have a little marble that's supposed to be him.
Yes,
that's hanging out with the king of whatever Galactica,
like, or yeah. The Andromeda Dome.
Jeff, there's also stands with like literal thousands of marbles too.
Yes, I have seen that.
Okay.
In clips I've seen.
But the coolest thing is that each winner, so the winner of the first event was Minty Maniacs. Last week tonight donated to a charity $5,000 in their name. So, which I was not expecting at all, and I thought that's really cool when they were sponsoring them to also give that much each for each winner too.
Yeah,
yes.
I remember there was like a big charity donation attached with sponsorship.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. No, it's pretty awesome. In related banter news, John Oliver has fucking been on point the last like 2 to 3 months.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
It's been amazing how good that show has gotten. Like, I've always kind of liked it, but
I'm only ever really watching like the main chunk of it.
Yes.
That they put on YouTube for free.
Yes.
Yeah.
Same.
But that's
the like 25-minute of the 30-minute show, so it's not
yeah, it's not like
It's most of the show.
Yeah. And it seems to get like 4 to 5 million views within the first day or something nuts.
I'm one of those now.
Yeah.
Like,
it'll probably be out today as we're recording.
Yes.
Yeah, it's out now. If I had had more time, I would have watched it already. But I haven't seen what the one is this week. But yeah, he's been real great with that show.
Yes.
Yeah.
Other bantery stuff. I have the 4th of July off, and so does Megan. So we get to go watch fireworks together for the first time in like 4 fucking years.
I have the 3rd of July off, and the 4th, and the 5th.
I have I theoretically have the 1st through the 5th off.
Nice.
But that's also because we laid off 5 people at our 34 employee nonprofit, and so they're like, morale's a bit low at the moment. Let's give them 2 days off.
Yeah.
Great.
Except didn't you mention like you might not actually get the time off because you have other things that are due in that time frame?
Yeah, so with none of that in mind, we have our auditors coming the next week for doing their like preliminary stuff, their preliminary field work things, and so there's a good chance that I may have to come in on Wednesday and possibly Thursday to do that. But I already have 5 comp days because I had to come in during holidays, so it would just add to that pile. So
Okay.
yeah.
Right on.
The tap room opened up this last Wednesday at Avery.
Oh, okay.
Is it like some of the tap rooms that are going on here that it's more spread out and mainly outside and like someone comes to you, or is it just like
Correct. It is.
Okay.
It is done the smart way.
good?
Yeah.
It's not done the Florida way that they then had to close down on 7 weeks later.
Yeah.
It's not doing it that way.
No,
Okay, good.
no.
Well, we'll see in 7 weeks.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see what Boulder County does.
Right.
But yeah, they Avery has a bunch of fencing they use for like big events and stuff like that. So they put that around the huge lawn area they have in front of there. There's some indoor space and on the second floor, but most of it is outside. They extended the liquor license onto the front lawn and stuff like that, so they can expand and have a ton of space for everyone to be able to spread out and not be close to each other. It's all table service, masks mandatory. The wait list has been long. I went up there on Saturday on my day off to sort of experience the tap room. When I headed up, it was like a 55 to 75 minute wait. So, a little over an hour. But it ended up being way shorter than that. Like halfway up, I got an alert like, hey, your table's ready. I was like, well, I'm 25 minutes away. So, not going to make that. So I just canceled and put it in a name later. And it was right on time when I got there. Yeah, Avery's taproom's real good. It's real nice. It is officially the largest restaurant in Boulder right now because of how much space Avery has to spread out versus the restaurants that would normally be larger, but because they don't have such a huge outdoor space to spread out in, they actually are smaller now, like for table seating. So Avery is big as balls. They turned the mezzanine into like an employee-only area. So if because we can't be on the guest taproom side during work hours, basically we can order food if we wanted to, or a shift beer if you can drink during your shift. But we'd have to go to the mezzanine or the garden to eat. So they've made some rules that not everyone is a big fan of. We used to have free beer from the tap room, and now it's half off beer. So that's kind of shitty, especially because beer, especially to employees, isn't that much. But I guess that's lost opportunity cost to charge some of your biggest regulars, aka your employees, beer dollars for beer.
Yeah.
So pretty much no one is going into the tap room now. That would be because there's the garden, and then there's special rules for the garden, and then there's like the lager, which we get our employee beer, which never changed. We get 24 points a week. Like basically each can is 1 or 2 points each, so you get like a case to 12 beers every week for free, and that's what people take out to the garden and just hang out and do like your social after hours drinking with your fellow employees, also distanced. I have the tables, spread out over on the garden side. But a lot of unhappy people about the new taproom rules at Avery Brewing.
Yeah, I mean, it's it's extenuating circumstances.
Yeah.
Like, be upset if they don't go back to normal when everything else goes back to normal.
And that's what everyone's afraid of, is like, oh, now this is just going to be it from now on, because the whole executive team changed over in the last year with the new Spanish company that is the majority owner at Avery, and everyone's worried that this new owner is going to be changing it to...
That's a fair concern.
Yeah.
And they're using this opportunity to change policies in there. But a lot of people consider like the free beers like part of their compensation, which a lot of people do at breweries.
Yeah.
That's one of the perks of working at a brewery, get free beer. So, I mean, to their sake, they have said top to bottom every time that something like this is changing, this is temporary. So, we'll see.
I guess if things go back to normal and it doesn't change,
Yeah, and when is
fucking
normal?
organize and get everybody together and send a mass email campaign where you're like, you said this would change, and it didn't, and that is compensation.
They were going to be removing our hazard pay, our extra 8 hours that we would get up to 44 hours, and that's what happened. Everyone was like, I'll just take unemployment, because without this, we don't have enough work to even make 40 hours. I'll just go on unemployment, and you guys don't have, workers. And they're like, hazard pay, coming back. We're not going to take that away. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm currently waiting to see what my company's going to do about hazard pay, because they gave us 7% hazard pay just on like our hourly rate. Everybody across the board who had to work on location got 7% hazard pay. And when they did it, they didn't do it as like a separate line item. They just, my hourly rate on my base pay went up 7%. So I went from like 26 something to 27 something. And there's talk that they're going to undo it, but they haven't. And they said they weren't giving us raises. So like everybody's kind of waffling in this like, well, if they'd done it as a separate line item, it's easy to be like, okay, so that hazard pay line item is going away without it feeling like they're cutting your pay. But now that they just like on everybody's paychecks for the last like 4 months, your hourly rate shows a higher thing, and then they're going to cut that back.
Right.
And not give raises. So people are like, well, maybe they won't give raises because they're just going to let the 7% stay, and that will be our raise. Or what? Nobody fucking knows what's happening, and it's getting old hearing all the like swirling conjecture about what's going to happen with our pay.
And at Avery, everyone took an 8.5% pay cut 2 weeks after I started. So on top of that. And then they were going to do the 8.5% pay cut and take away the hazard pay. And that's when everyone was like, no.
Nope.
Yeah. Yeah.
So.
Hooray. Everything else is great. Driving 33 miles each way.
Things are pretty good at my job. I switch schedules. I now work Saturday to Tuesday, so I'll have Thursdays and Fridays free. So I lose Taco Tuesday, but in theory, when game night comes back, I won't have to be at work 6 o'clock in the morning the day after I drink a lot at game night, which will be wonderful.
Yeah.
And then in theory, if like bars and breweries and things are able to open more, like I can go drink on Thursday nights, which is a pretty common drinking night and shit like that. So that'll be nice. Yeah, that's about it banter-wise, I think. I don't know, unless you guys have anything else. I've played a lot of Satisfactory to the point I'm like kind of done with it. Looking for my next video game. Well then, I think we're about ready to move on into a bloody minute.
Yes, the finals of last season happened with everyone that wanted to join. I played Ant and his absolutely insane Wood Elf team. His absolutely insane Wood Elf team did pretty well, dice-wise, and me playing like shit-wise and making some bad decisions. His dice were pretty good. Like, for the 81 block dice I had that game, I think I had rolled 4 POWs in the very, very last turn of the entire game, making my total 13 POWs for the entire game.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. It was pretty bad. It was Pushmaster. I had 38% pushes, 21% skulls, 16% both down, where you want an average of 16% per facing, with pushes being twice that, of course, because there are 2 pushes on the side of the die. So I was the absolute pushmaster. I only got like 7 dodge POWs, defender stumbles, but all of his guys have fucking dodge anyways. There's only a couple of guys that could do anything about that. I took 2 stars. The Ivan Death Shroud, who has like Disturbing Presence and Tackle, Strength 4, Edge 2, Move 6, so he's kind of like a ball hitter. Hits you right in the balls. And then Luther von Drakenborg, who is like the most expensive star that Undead could get. He's like a star vampire. He's like Move 6, Strength 5, Edge 4, Armor 8 or 9. So he's pretty nice. But I ended up not getting any POWs when I needed it. I still ended up with 4 casualties that game, with a kill apothecary into reserves, and then I got a kill right after that, but it was just useless, nothing players. Like, it wasn't his crazy, insane war dancers with like 76 star player points, which is absolutely insane with the plus strength and plus stats. There was a couple bad plays in there where I threw to my guy that could catch the ball to try and get him as far ahead as possible. He was Blodger. I was really like 2 things that he could get knocked down on, and he probably hit me with his strip ball, which the ball would have come out anyways, but of course he rolled a POW anyways, because every time he hit me it was a fucking POW. He scored 3 times on defensive touchdowns in the first half. He scored on me 3 times. In the first half where I received, because I was just absolutely getting destroyed. He had more removals. He was outbashing me, basically. And all of my outbashing happened on know-nothing players that didn't matter, or way too late to do anything about it. So he won a big 4-0 on that playoff game. In the finals, it was him versus the Amazons, the basic girls. They just beat the shit out of each other. There was 3 kills in that game. Wood Elves on Amazons. They murdered the shit out of each other.
Wow.
Ant lost 2 players, one of which was his star, plus strength, plus edge catcher, which is fantastic. That makes him strength 3, edge 5, which is nuts. They are super dead. That was Winry Rockbill, Zach.
Nice.
Yeah. The Resin Bull Reapers, you know. But my team now has 2 Wood Elf zombies named after Full Metal Alchemist characters.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
I can respect that.
Yep. The game went into first overtime at 1-1 after Ant didn't get the win off Snakes for it was a 2+ reroll dodge to win the playoffs, and snaked it, making it go into overtime.
Ugh.
Overtime, no one scored. They just went back and forth. The basic girls were just absolutely smashing the crap out of them with like KOs, etc. To where the Reapers couldn't really get the ball over, but they also couldn't Ant in overtime had 6 turnovers in 8 turns. 6 of 8. Where the Amazons had 4 of 8 turnovers. Turnovers were rife in the whole thing. It was a fuckload of turnovers. Ant superseded me and the amount of pushes he got. He got 40% push on his block dice, which is a lot of push.
That is
else,
a lot of push.
Yeah. 49 pushes of 123 dice thrown. And so the official rules for playoff after overtime, which is not what we use in our league. Ant is very much against the official overtime rules. In overtime, what we play overtime until someone wins. And you do coin flip for the first overtime to who receives, as is tradition. Blood Bowl's official rules are you play one half of overtime, and then after that, you roll off for who wins. And it is fucking stupid.
That is.
Yeah, you roll off D6, and then you add +1 for every reroll you have left at the end of that overtime. So it was just a shootout, like, all right, who rolled higher? Okay, I guess you win the playoffs. And Ant rolled higher and won the playoffs.
Like,
making him hit the official winner of the first 2 seasons in playoff of our Kill Fumble League.
I mean, I don't feel like that's the most egregious overtime rule, because people don't necessarily want to play, if someone doesn't want to play like a whole nother quarter or half or whatever, and this is already a game that's heavily dependent on random dice rolls that can fuck you. So I don't know, I'm not surprised by that being the official overtime rule.
Neither am I. It's just bad. I would much rather just play another half. If I had to reschedule it on another day, I would totally do that. And I don't think that's too unreasonable for like a high-stakes playoff game that you would be doing like this. Just keep playing halves until it's over.
Yeah.
That's how I won the championship. It was overtime, but I ended up scoring in overtime. It kind of has the old... I think the NFL has changed this, but it was whoever got the ball was going to be the one that won in overtime for a long time. And then at one point, it was like if you scored a field goal, the other team would have a chance to get the ball back for like a drive or something like that. Adrian, you would be the only one that knows how overtime works in the NFL nowadays.
It's better than it used to be, but it's still kind of bullshit. So it used to be that there was a coin flip, and whoever won the toss got to choose to receive or kick. Everybody always chose receive in the old days.
That's how Blood Bowl works.
Because it was first to score wins instantly.
Yep.
The new rule is if you score for the NFL, because there's field goals, which there isn't in Blood Bowl. In Blood Bowl, it's touchdowns or nothing. But in the NFL... it used to be like it was a no-brainer because you only had to drive down to like the 30-yard line and then kick like a 50-yard field goal, and most kickers can usually do that. They changed the rules to where now if you kick a field goal, the other team gets a possession. Mm-hmm. If they tie, it continues. If they don't score, you win. If they score a touchdown, they win. Then on with that very first possession, if you score a touchdown, you just win outright. Like first touchdown wins no matter what, basically. Yeah. And then field goals, you have a chance to match or lose, basically.
Yeah. Not ideal either way.
No.
But Blood Bowl's official rule is bad. Ant has fixed it up enough to where it's reasonable, where you just keep playing. Especially in a game like Fumble, where it's much faster than Tabletop. It's... not a bad idea, but unfortunately with Fumble being pretty strict by like the actual Blood Bowl rules without some modifying, like that's just the way we had to play it.
Yeah. I should stress, I think those rules for the NFL, well, for one, if the first quarter of overtime ends in a tie, it's just a tie game in the regular season. In overtime, you keep playing more. And then I feel like, and I'm sure somebody will correct me because we have NFL fans who are listeners, I feel like maybe somebody was just talking about that they should, in playoffs and Super Bowls, play a full quarter, and maybe they haven't actually made that change. I don't know. College football, each team gets a possession starting at like the I don't know, like the 40, the 30, something like that. So they get basically almost in field goal range. They each get a possession to try and, like a series of downs to try and score. But you don't have to like do the whole kickoff and drive the whole field and all of that. And some people like that better because that's just basically like no matter who goes first, if they score, the other team has a chance to match, and you just keep playing until somebody doesn't match on the score. So, yeah. Anyway,
so Ant won.
Good for Ant to win
on ridiculous team.
Bullshit overtime.
I don't think I've played any since that playoff match. I'm still only in the third round. I think I talked about the Demons of Corn match that I had where I killed his Bloodthirster on like the first block or the last block of the first turn. Ended up killing the shit out of his team. He has not had the other Jeff has had not had much luck since then.
Womp womp.
Yeah, I'm gonna play my round 4 match on Tuesday because he was not available to play until then. So I haven't played a match of Blood Bowl in like 2 weeks. But it's Chaos Dwarves next. He's only got 1 claw, but 3 guard. So we'll see how it goes. I gotta get that claw guy. I gotta kick that guy in the head on the ground a lot.
That's very violent, Jeff.
I mean, like I have talked about this before, but we could take 6 free skills at the start of this season. I almost just took 6 Mighty Blow. And I ended up taking 5 Mighty Blow and a guard. So I at least have 2 guard now.
There you go.
The Tomb Guardian I put guard on. I've given him. He's been lucky enough to roll both MVPs and gotten his Mighty Blow now. So I have 6 Mighty Blow running on my team now. 6 Mighty Blow and a lot of fouls. That's what's going to happen. We'll see.
Yeah.
He's going to get 110 in inducements.
Oof.
I don't know what Chaos Dwarf inducements look like.
I'm sure you'll let us know.
Yeah, I mean, he can't get a chainsaw until 130, so I think I'll be all right. He'll get a reroll or 2 babes. In other Blood Bowl news, they announced some new teams today.
Oh.
So the Snotlings, which were going to be a new team of like the ogres, have a bunch of Snotlings. They're like Strength 1, Move 5, Armor 5, Edge 3. They're real trash. Apparently, it's a whole team of them. They're going to have like
a whole team of trash.
Yeah,
Great.
But they're going to have like a wagon of some sort that in past versions it works like a ball and chain where it's like random movement, strength, like super high strength. So we'll see what the actual rules are for that. Today they announced more mixed teams. Underworld and Chaos Renegade, they were mixes of like Chaos Renegade. It was like you could get like 1 Orc, 1 Dark Elf, 1 Skaven, and then a bunch of General Linemen. There was a like Skaven and Goblin Underworld mixed team. But most of them have like a variety of big guys. Like Chaos Renegade could get an Ogre, a Minotaur, and a Troll. You could get 2 Trolls on the Underworld one, I think. But now there's a new mixed team. It's going to be humans, dwarves, and halflings, which is totally new as far as I'm aware. Besides some probably weird custom thing that Blood Bowl always has.
Right.
But it seems like, okay, we're going to throw 1 sprue of this and 1 sprue of that. And all right, now we got a new team because we've already made these things. So we'll see what the teams look like and rosters. But the next release after Snotlings is going to be like a big combination of the mixed teams, like Underworld and stuff like that. So we'll see if there's any balance changes. They've been known to be pretty bad, generally, because they're basically stunty teams for the most part.
Yeah.
Which are generally not great.
No.
So we'll see what these mixed teams have. Like, what positions of what? Like human, dwarf, halfling? What does that look like? Is there a big guy that can throw the halfling? Why take the halfling? Are there going to be slayers on that team? I would assume you have to, because the dwarf sprue from GW is blitzer, slayer, runner. So are you going to get all the... And then blitzer, thrower, catcher from human? Like, how many of those positionals are you going to be allowed? and having all of those positionals on one team seems pretty good, because you can, instead of using human linemen, use the dwarf linemen. They're slower, but they're armor 9. Like, who cares? So that's been the big to-do in today's Blood Bowl news.
Okay.
Yeah. There was the pitch for Underworld leaked like months ago before Snotlings got announced, so people thought Underworld was going to be in the next, but that was clearly for this announcement where they were going to have like the weird new like good guy mixed team and releasing the not good guy mixed teams. So we shall see what happens with whatever nightmare GW is doing with Blood Bowl teams right now.
Right on.
Right on.
Well,
right on.
Cool. The end of the Bloody Minute brings us to the first time in a long time, a Kingdom Death Hour.
Yes, which we got back together, got the old crew together.
Since like March, I want to say, if not February.
Yes, for quite some time ago. Yeah, at least it was definitely February sometime, because I stopped attending like March 9th when I got sick. So it probably wasn't that. Because we did Imperial Assault that Monday.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and then I was like, I'm sick. And then everything shut down a week later.
Yep.
Way to go, Jeff.
So we went through year 6 through year 9.
We're still doing our People of the Skull campaign.
So that's the one where you spend an endeavor, which you get like 4-ish every time you come back from a hunt for every person that returns. And you spend a skull resource, of which there is only one of in the basic resource deck of, 30 plus cards, easily.
Yep.
And you do that, and then whoever is in that ritual, which you can have up to 4 people, gets +1 to every stat. Movement, accuracy, strength, evasion, luck,
and
speed. Which turns them into absolute glass cannons.
The glassiest of cannons.
Because you can't wear armor or anything that doesn't have bone. You can't use anything that doesn't have bone in the keyword of it, because we're people of the skull. We can only use bone stuff. So we went through the story event, the first story event, which was Armored Strangers. So we went straight into it. Armored Strangers, it is a bunch of people that come in to count our camp's population. And then based on a die roll, what they do with that population. So-and-so rolled low, which meant that they wanted to kill a third of our population.
They wanted to kill 5 people.
5 people. So, or we could fight them.
And so we said, fuck it, let's fight them.
Fuck it, let's fight them. With our best people? Was it all our best people?
Most of our best people,
Most of our best people. Most of our best people decided to die against the Armored Stranger, also known as the King's Man.
Yep.
Which we would normally fight later, which we do. So we lost 4 of our best fighters, absolutely.
We saved one person, basically.
We could have killed 5 shitty people and still had 4 and still had our good guys, but I think we just got pretty unlucky with him hitting the same spot over and over, not being able to dodge at the right spot, and every time he hit us, like anytime he would do damage, he would just absolutely punch through everything we had. He had a card where it was a first strike, so you had to attack that event hit location first. But the hit location was, are you wearing heavy armor? Cancel all the rest of your attacks and be knocked down. And we just kept drawing those over and over and over and over and over, because there was one item that we were wearing that was heavy, which reduced damage by 1 to a minimum of 1 to any damage we took, which is very useful, but...
Yeah, I want to say I was the only one that didn't have the cloak.
Yes, and it was just constant. And then...
And the problem with being the glass cannons that we get a lot of extra speed, which is a lot of extra die rolls, and each one of those, if each one of those hits, then it's more cards that you're drawing, so you have a better chance of drawing that card or the trap that would just fuck up your entire turn.
And he had huge range, so we would kind of like plan out for if we drew the trap at so-and-so point, we would just want to be outside of like 3 of him, and we wouldn't have to deal with the trap. But we didn't really do that in the first one, which fucked us a couple times.
Yes, because he would do damage equal to damage equal to the amount of wounds that he's taken, and we were able to do some wounds in the beginning, and so he's like, okay, well, you're gonna get hit for 5 damage somewhere. And we're like, oh, great. Well, now we have to do a roll to make sure we don't die.
Yeah, serious injuries.
Yep.
And then he has the battle pressure, which every time he gets the trap or you have to shuffle or at the beginning of his turn, there's 3 cards for battle pressure that get put on top of his hit location deck. So if you only hit 3 times, it's only the battle pressure. And then every time it was an extra set of tables in his book that would let us get like this crazy like King's Step ability, but every time we rolled on the table, we'd only roll 1 to 3, which was like take
real bad.
Take 5 damage to the legs again, over and over and over and over.
He kept fucking hitting our legs. It was ridiculous.
And then someone actually read what the text said, me, and it was like, oh, you can only do that if you're adjacent to him, because we were shooting him from distance with like bone darts and stuff. And
we're like, this doesn't make much thematic sense, but okay. And
yeah,
then as soon
and
as
then
you
I
that,
read
it's
it.
like, okay.
You have to be adjacent to him to be able to roll on this table, which really saved us from ourselves.
Yeah.
Later. So we all died. But we have cannibalism in this.
I mean, we're people of the skulls, so it made sense to be like, let's get
instead of graves.
Let's get some people.
I went 3 for 3 for drawing skull, the skull out of the deck for basic resource. So what cannibalism is, you get to draw a random basic resource for every death, which is far worse than graves, where you get extra endeavors and stuff like that. But we didn't care about that in this campaign.
No.
But I drew 3 for 3 on skulls for that one. And then did I draw 2? No, maybe I draw 2 for 3. And then
you were 3 for 3.
Was I 3 for 3?
But
and then we had Thursby draw one, and I put it back in the deck, and then I put it back in the box, and I was gonna take it. And I was like, oh, I didn't shuffle it or anything, but Thursby just drew a random card out of there and just fucking drew the skull straight out. So we got like 4 skulls back out of that one scenario, and so we just made a bunch of new Supermen.
Yeah.
for our next characters.
And the reason we were able to do that was normally if you have people die, you can't do endeavors because they have to come back in order for you to get the endeavor. But this was like a mid-settlement fight, so we had endeavors from the previous fight.
Yeah.
Luckily, that let us just immediately be like, okay, well, here's a batch of new Supermen.
Yep. And then we went and fought a level 2 White Lion. That Paul,
oh God, that's right.
Paul pulled the most bullshit. He drew the death blow card.
Before that, though, just for clarification, he came out, and the first card he did, he basically roared and intimidated everybody but Paul.
Yes,
Paul
and so knocked back like 6 on everyone, so everyone was super far away or at the edge of the board. And then Paul goes and hits him and draws the like death blow. So it wasn't even a death blow. It's like an instant kill card. If you crit, which is easy for us,
he was striking the neck, basically.
Yes, the throat of the lion. And if you crit on that, the crit happens, and then there's a table on that card. If you crit again, Paul's crit is like 7+ because we have all these crazy stat bonuses instead of just a natural 10. And then he throws the crit for that, and then just immediately throws another crit. Like natural crit into the throat.
It had to be a 10 for that one too.
Yes.
That wasn't another crit. You had to get a 10.
Yes. So he had instant killed the lion. Well, not instant killed. The lion would last until the end of the round, and then suffocate and die because he had crushed the lion's windpipe. So the lion hunt lasted 1 turn, which usually lasts far more than that.
Yeah.
And then we just went home with our rewards. After that, we went to another White Lion level 2. It was a little harder that time. I don't remember anything spectacular happening in there.
Yeah.
And then year 8, we unlocked the Dragon King and the Dung Beetle Knight. So I decided to go for a Dragon King level 1, because that is in the People of the Stars campaign, where you can hunt the Dragon King later, but we've just thrown just the Dragon King in here without the Tyrant and all the constellations and stuff like that. Because the Dragon King has some bone armor we can actually use for our characters, because it has bone in the name.
And it has weapons, some more weapons that have bone in their name,
yes,
too.
So it's a decent thing to have for the People of the Skull campaign. I remember it going pretty well. He
kept uppercutting people into the sky
with his trap.
With his trap.
Yeah, Star Word or whatever.
Yeah, and for that you take like 4 damage. So every time someone fell down, I was like, all right, let's see what I break.
Plop. Yeah.
Yep.
Please land on my head. I have armor on my head. But you'd land on your arms and break your arms and all that kind of stuff. I think we got some severe injuries out of that, but we ended up killing the Dragon King, critting on really good spots that gave us extra resources, to the point where we were able to make like 2 really good weapons and a helm off of that one hunt, which was awesome. I took the helm because I had like nothing the entire game, because I have the earrings that give me +2 strength and +2 speed if everything I have has bone on it. So I didn't want to take any of the like organs and things like that. And then I have the Talon Knife to where I think it's like 7 speed at this point. But if I hit with all of them, I get Savage and Deadly, and I'm hitting on 2+. But the chances of rolling a 1 is pretty high to at least miss with one of them. But if I don't miss, it's gonna fuck some shit up.
Yeah.
I think Thursby got a bone sword, a bone saber of some sort.
Yes.
Of Zumacales. Then we went on to the final year that we played, and then we fought the King's Man again.
But because we fought him, before we fought him level 1, because he's a nemesis, you have to fight him 1 higher level. So we fought him at a level 2.
Level 2. Yes. Thankfully, we had a much easier time with him this time, because we kind of knew what he would do.
Yeah, so it was before we kept like crowding him, and then the acid thing would happen, and so now it was a lot of like run in, attack him, run out.
We had good innovations to where we had all of our different like dash and surge and the different things we could spend survival on, which is I think what we really missed in that previous campaign.
Yeah.
Because that's super important to survival. I think someone did die in that one.
Yeah.
Is that the one where Thursby just blind drew the skull out of?
It might have been, yeah.
Yeah. You killed him.
I did.
And it's the first time I can remember that we've killed the King's Man.
Because, we played with him early and we lost each time we played, and then we switched over to the Manhunter or the whatever other one.
And very early in the times that we've played Kingdom Death.
Yeah. So the thing that happens when you kill the Kingsman is that you start to turn into a Kingsman.
Yeah.
Oh, jeez.
And what that means is you basically roll on a chart from for the hit locations, and I rolled my arms. And basically, armor just started growing off of my arms, and then like my arms like acidified, and then just sort of like liquidated out. So, because if you remember when his acid thing is like his like inside his armor is just like acid, and that's about it.
Goo,
acid and goo. So that's what I'm gonna slowly turn into. But it means that I do have armor on my arms now because
it does
bone. It is bone. It's my bone specifically.
Mm-hmm.
But each time I fight with this character, I have to do that event again, and I have to roll until I get a location
you haven't had before.
Yes. So, and then once I get all 5 pieces of armor, then I basically turn into a Kingsman, and I just sort of walk off and I die.
Yep.
But before that, now I'm just dead. But before that, I'll actually be a good character because I have a shitload of evasion too. So. I won't bring this guy on every fight, but for every fight that matters, I'm bringing him.
Oh yeah, like he seems like he's going to be pretty good.
Yeah.
With the armor, because the armor is super good too.
Yes, it is.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's where we ended with the Kingdom Death Monster. We unlocked the Dung Beetle Knight and then the Sunstalker at the end of our last game. And we haven't done the Sunstalker ever. I think Paul might actually try and build a miniature on his own.
Try being the operative word.
Yes, so we could fight against the Sunstalker, because that's the one thing we've never done.
Correct. And I think after we finish this campaign, assuming he does build it, we're going to do a People of the Sun campaign, which is the Sunstalkers campaign, which we haven't done.
Yes.
So,
the Sunstalker campaign was like the first alternative campaign, I want to say.
I believe that seems right.
Yeah. A lot of dicks. A lot of dicks in that one. Sunstalker's really about the dicks.
Yeah. But I mean, I find it funny if, comparing when we were just sort of looking at the Seven Samurai one versus the People of the Skull, I would have thought we would have had a much harder time with this than with the People of the Seven Samurai.
Yeah.
But I'm surprised how well we're doing.
I think it's because we've gotten lucky on our skulls.
Yes. Oh no, 100%. Yes.
Yeah. Because having those extra stats and like 2 sets of like crazy batshit insane stat people, like people with movement 8, movement 9, which is unheard of because of those skull rituals. Even if we are ultra glass cannons, it's been going all right.
Yeah, no, my character right now
because we're hard to hit, and then the one time they do hit, we can just dodge.
Yes.
But if we get hit with more than one,
shit can start to go south.
Bad news bears.
Yes, but I was really glad that we were able to play that again. I'd been missing it.
Yeah.
And I just felt that the tabletop simulator version of it just would be missing that
level of engagement.
Exactly.
Yeah. So that's Kingdom Death Monster. Was it an hour?
Right on.
Only like 16 minutes.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's never actually been an hour.
No. It just feels like it
Adrian. Well, not even for me. I wasn't the first one who brought that up. It's definitely been other people branded it. We took the branding and ran with it. But yeah. So with Bloody Minute and Kingdom Death Hour all done, it's time for us to move on to some news and some Kickstarters.
Starting up with news. First up in news this week, Unlock, the reusable escape room-esque series of board games, has come out with a new announcement for their next theme for Unlock, which is the Star War.
So I know that they've previously they had like a 3-pack one. I don't know if this is supposed to be like 3 scenarios in one or just 3 scenarios. Does it say on here?
It doesn't. Yes, this version provides 3 scenarios.
Okay.
So it's one version that will have 3 scenarios included in it.
Okay, good. But yeah, it's Star Wars and it's not by Fantasy Flight, so
yeah,
which is weird. So
I think they technically have they can do like Star Wars mini games or something. I don't know.
RPG.
Yeah. But then they also did the ship game that's like
Armada?
Firefly. No,
Outer
Rim.
Yeah.
Well, and I mean, to be fair, yes, this isn't Fantasy Flight, but it's Asmodee, which owns Fantasy Flight.
So. I mean, true.
Yeah. But this is being put out. The entire Unlock series comes through Space Cowboys side of Asmodee. So it is still interesting that they're doing it so much different. So far removed from Fantasy Flight. Supposedly it's been in development for 2.5 years.
Right.
As I said, this version is going to have 3 different scenarios, including original puzzles. They take place during the original trilogy's timeline, and will have some references maybe to things like Rogue One, especially since one of the fucking missions is secret mission on Jeddah.
Yeah, which is the Rogue One planet.
Storyline, yeah. The other 2 are Battle of Hoth and An Unexpected Delay. And those are the translations provided by this article. Just for Alex from France, I'll take a crack at the actual French titles for these 3 games. See, I had them earlier all figured out, and then I'm going to fuck up. La bataille de Hoth, un retard entendu, mission secrète sur Jeddah.
Perfect.
Almost certainly wrong. Almost certainly wrong. It's just how wrong is the only thing that we have to wait for Alex to tell us, is how bad
Correct.
my French was.
Yes. Everyone else can tell you too, but
Yeah, but they don't have definitive, in-depth knowledge.
of French.
Unless we have other people who speak French fluently in our Slack channel and fan base that I don't know about. But anyway, one of the things that's pointed out here is in that unexpected delay, the imagery on the French cover of it shows an Outrider style ship, which is the ship that Dash Rendar flew around in. So we'll see.
If no one remembers who Dash Rendar is, he is from the Nintendo 64 game Shadows of the Empire. Also the book Shadows of the Empire.
I remember that game.
Yeah.
That was a good game.
Yeah, it was a fine game.
It was all right. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Back when they actually made good Star Wars games. Actually, supposedly the newest one you said was really good, Zach, the Jedi one. So
Fallen Order was good, yeah.
That was a YT 2400 light freighter.
what was the one that they
Millennium
flew
Falcon.
around in? No, not the fucking Millennium Falcon. God damn. No, the one
The Death
from
Star.
also no.
X-wing, A-wing, B-wing.
No, not from any of the modern, quote unquote modern timelines. The stuff from
Legends.
Prequels.
Oh,
KOTOR.
you guys, KOTOR. Yes,
There.
thank
That was
you.
the
You were
Hammerhead.
killing. I kept getting close, and you kept fucking it up.
Pretty sure that was the Hammerhead.
It was not the Hammerhead. The Hammerhead's what
That's
the.
what you started with in the first KOTOR.
Really?
Pretty sure.
I thought the Hammerhead was the ship that in Rogue One movie
The
they
Ebon
smashed
Hawk?
into the destroyer. The Ebon Hawk is
Yes.
the name of the ship.
Which is a Republic Hammerhead class capital ship.
What the fuck?
Ah, suck it, nerd.
That is such horseshit. I thought that.
I mean, I
See, 'cause
see a dynamic class freighter.
Yeah, because the Hammerhead class cruiser. Oh, so yes, you at the very beginning
Yes.
start in a Hammerhead
Which was
because
made
that's the
famous
ship
by
that gets
Rogue One
attacked.
as
Yes, the
made
one that
canon
crashed
by
the
Rogue One, actually.
that crashed the destroyer into the shield generator.
Yeah.
No, so I meant the little freighter that you mainly fly around in for the whole game, which is the Ebon Hawk. The Ebon Hawk is not the Hammerhead though.
Dynamic class freighter.
Okay, because it very much looked like I even remember when I played
A
KOTOR
different
for the first
Millennium
time.
Falcon.
Exactly. It was like, wow, every freighter in this game looks the same, which makes sense because every freighter in the our world looks the same. Every fucking 18-wheeler out there looks the same. Every cargo ship looks the same. But
So yeah, Dash
yeah,
Rendar's
anyway.
ship's going to be in this.
yes, unlock Star Wars games coming out, confirmed for August 2020 for the English version.
That sounded like maybe Gen Con release, huh?
Probably was the plan.
Yeah.
The release would have been around the same time as the Star Wars Celebration, which has regrettably been canceled.
CJ
The
went to that last
French, the French edition is more specific. It is being released on the 23rd of August, 2020. So, but yeah, that's Unlock Star Wars.
And then we have a bunch of D&D news. First up
Indeed.
in D&D news, Icewind Dale's coming back. Has that been away
Fuck yeah, buddy.
for a while? I just know it as the CRPG.
Yeah, so it never went away.
Yeah.
So it was there was the Icewind Dale, like you said, the CRPG video game.
And Icewind Dale too.
Yes. Icewind Dale is one of the locations in the the Forgotten Realms. It's in the far north, frosty area, as you can imagine, with a name like Icewind.
Of
but
Baldur's
there-
Gate fame. Same
Yeah,
universe.
although Baldur's same universe, yes, very, very, very far apart in terms of
Yes.
geographical location in the Forgotten Realms. But yeah, so this is an adventure set in Icewind Dale. So it's been around for a while, and other modules have referenced it. I think Storm King's Thunder may have referenced it. But it now it's getting its own adventure, Rime of the Frostmaiden. Which, while Zach and I were waiting for Jeff to drive across town, we looked up Rime, Rime, and it's like basically like the frost that something gets when it's really cold.
Okay.
Because I was very unfamiliar with that word. So Rime of the Frostmaiden is like Frost of the Frostmaiden. But they used it. Well,
She's a frosty maiden.
Yes.
I appreciate that
Chocolate
they
or
didn't
vanilla?
take. I appreciate that they went away from the Mystic Veil side of things, where they go Veil of Magic.
Uh-huh.
Right.
And they actually found a new word that isn't just frost.
Wind of the Ice Maiden.
So yeah. Apparently, there's some hints that like the storylines and things are going to be like largely based around like isolation and like being cut off from the world. This Ice Maiden, Frost Maiden, has like set an extraordinarily long winter that is like locked in the area of Icewind Dale. And it's going to be roughly a standalone campaign, but can be broken up into just smaller quests that you can roll into other stories, similar to how the Essentials kit handled things. Which in my campaign that I'm running, I wish that my players had any interest in side quests so that I could give them side quests. But they're like main story all the time. It's like, great.
We'll go back and do
great.
a side quest when the main quest is completed. New game plus.
It's like I don't know how to level you properly now, because the game assumes that you actually do side quests and level and thing from side quests, and now you're just gonna get raffle stomped when
Just
you
let
get
them
to the
TPK
boss.
and learn their own lesson.
Yep. Yep. Going for tears, man. Going for tears. Anyway, the D&D website has it up already and directs you to different places where you can pre-order it, which reminds me that I need to get a hold of Black and Red and pre-order the shit out of that fucking limited edition cover, because I am down to... I've got all of the limited editions except 2 right now, and we'll see how this eBay bidding war I'm in goes. I might be down to just only missing 1.
Well, you still have a couple months, because it's supposed to be September?
September 15th
Yeah.
is the official release. So yes, I have
They'll
plenty
even
of time
have
to get hold of Black and Red.
We'll have some dice. We'll have a new cookbook.
Yeah. The cookbook's like, it's tied in. Heroes Feast. It's going to be released in October, not September.
Yes.
And it's going to have recipes for food mentioned throughout the campaigns, like through all of the campaigns that they've put out. So like Bitopian shepherd's bread, iron rations, savory hand pies, and hogs and bedrolls, which I guarantee are just pigs in a blanket.
Correct.
As well as hearty vegetarian, meaty, and fish mains, such as amphail braised beef, omelet golden brown roasted turkey, and drow mushroom steaks. So, yeah. I mean, why not? Why not, make up some weird names for common foods and put out a cookbook? Yeah. New dice and accessories, miniatures, and things coming with Icewind Dale. New set as well, because they always do that shit. Any excuse to make lots of extra money.
Yep.
I like money.
I like money too. I like spending money far more than I should. But yeah, so that's the release information for Icewind Dale, the newest D&D storybook.
And man, I actually like the image of the regular edition more than the fancy edition.
They are
With
both
the real
so
art
good
on it, I guess.
Yeah.
Yes. Like whatever that monster is, I don't know if you said it or not.
An owl
no, I
bear
didn't-
is all I have reference to.
That's
That
what
is
that's
not
what
an
I
owl
asked.
bear.
Yeah.
It does have an owl face.
And it's
but
sized like a bear.
Yep.
It
Owl-
is also sized like a bear, but it is
Maybe a
it is
moonkin?
bipedal. I think that might be what it is.
Yeah, it's a moonkin, huh?
Yeah, it's a
Crossover,
moonkin.
eh?
Nice.
Is that a druid?
Mm.
Fair balance.
Oh.
It's a balance.
Hey, I mean-
Fucking wow.
Yep.
Fuck you guys. That sounded vaguely right, and I shouldn't have trusted you.
That's your first mistake.
Yep.
Right?
Moving on to the next D&D related news. this week, D&D, Wizards of the Coast might be changing how race works in Dungeons and Dragons.
Now, what do you mean by that?
So, basically, this has been part of an ongoing shift in D&D for a while that has, in recent times, picked up steam, very understandably. So it wasn't that long ago. I can't remember if it predated all of the current protests and outpour of, hey, let's fix racist shit in our popular culture. But there's been articles about the fucking orcs in D&D are described as they're just inherently evil, violent people, and any good orc is an aberration.
I've seen Goblin Slayer.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Yeah. Speaking of racist fucking shit. Yeah. So there's been pressure to change that, and one of those came up that even in the D&D 5th edition source book, which has been given a lot of credit for being one of the most progressive versions of D&D yet, and you have a lot of old fucking grognard types who are oh, it's too SJW watered down, neckbeard. They still have room to progress, and so they've made it clear. Jeremy Crawford, who's the main designer for D&D, in a conversation on Twitter, basically pointed out that the Wizards of the Coast team for D&D is actively looking to completely change the way race works in D&D. So currently in 5th edition, and 5th edition is what I'm by far the most familiar with, so I'm not going to go into older editions very much, but in 5th edition, race is you pick when you start. The two main choices you make are your race and your class, and your class determines what you can do. Your race determines what stats and things you do it with. So if you choose
dwarves, they have more constitution.
Exactly. Dwarves
Elves
get a constitution
have more dexterity.
Exactly. And so depending on what race you are, in the current MHGD campaign, I'm playing an Aarakocra, which is a bird person, and they have a high dexterity bonus. So they get if you play an Aarakocra, whatever you roll for your base attributes, they get an extra bonus to whatever their dexterity is that basically says, hey, bird people are fairly dexterous. People have pushed against that for a while, that hey, what if I want to play a clumsy elf? Which for a long time the answer's just been well, then don't put dexterity as your highest stat. Yeah, you get a +2 to it, so put your lowest stat there, you get a +2. You're still a relatively clumsy elf compared to other elves. But they want to change entirely with this. They're working on completely redoing how they handle race so that it has even less ties, real or imagined, to real world race issues. So part of this is also it's very common for people who want to build optimized characters to pick a race that matches their class. So for instance, a half elf gets a bonus to charisma, and they explain that in the books as being because they're half elf and they're half human, and they live in between the two cultures, that they become they're more charismatic because they learn to navigate these two separate cultures, and that boosts their charisma. People don't give a shit about that aspect of it, but the bonus to charisma makes them really good to play if you're a bard or a sorcerer or a warlock whose spell casting is based on their charisma score. So you can roll, a decently high number and then throw it in your charisma and then get an added bonus for playing a half elf. So it leads to all the half elves tend to be charisma characters, and all the dwarves be constitution characters, and it makes things very samey. And so that's one of the other things they're trying to kind of fight, is let it be hey, if you want to be whatever fucking class, you can be whatever fucking class with whatever fucking race, and there won't be any positive or negative impact on how you play the game. Which is also, I think, a good plan that I'm sure will frustrate grognards who are all about oh, there's balance and you make choices about things, and yeah.
And it seems like they're doing away with evil or good
It's just like
attached
chaotic.
to those races, and just
Yeah.
do lawful or chaotic instead.
Yeah. So like I was following that conversation a little bit, and at one point that was one of the things he talked about is that the vague lawful, evil, good, evil, lawful, chaotic alignment stuff was always meant more for DMs to have like some like very vague templates to kind of follow, but that they have found through like play tests and interviews and adventure leagues and like organized play and all of that shit that players hang on to that a lot. And so like, people will play an orc either because orcs are evil and they want to play an evil character, or they'll play an orc specifically to like make the one orc that's not evil, kind of an idea. And so they're trying to move away from that. And they point out that like in their two of their most recent releases, Eberron and I'm drawing a blank on it, Wildmount, that they have really tried to move in their descriptions of races in those worlds, which are separate from the Forgotten Realms. They've tried to move away from like entire races being good or evil and more tried to make them as like distinct and unique and interesting cultures, which is better. Yeah. It's hard to say how like how far can they take this right now, because they like 5th edition is by far the most popular edition, so it's not like they're going to switch to 6th edition and like reprinting all of the books that are already out, like the player's handbook that has the description of orcs that some people have been like, hey, the language you use to describe orcs is like the exact same language that people used to justify slavery for so long, and that's not great. They're not going to like reprint all the 5th edition books. Like that's not what's going to happen.
Yeah, that would be 5.5.
Yeah, which they tried that with 2.5, that whole like half edition, or 3.5. Sorry.
Well, it's because 3 was bad.
3 was bad, and that like fractured the player base and caused all kinds of issues, and ultimately 3.5 basically became its own edition. That
yes,
like they're not going to do that. They're nowhere near a 6th edition, and so it's more of a thing like in future books they're going to do better, and then at some point in the hypothetical future when there's a hypothetical 6th edition, you can expect race to probably be like an almost second thought kind of thing. Like, hey, what vague physical characteristics do you want your character to have? Do you want them to fly? Cool, they have wings. Fucking yeah.
Yeah, it's fine.
Yeah.
That's it for news.
That's it for news. After all of that D&D talk, I didn't get to talk about board games during the what we've been playing, but I got to talk about fucking D&D.
Yay! D&D.
Anyway, on to Kickstarters.
On to Kickstarter. First up in Kickstarter this week, we have Overlord. Overlord is very well funded. It is $200,000 of its $35,000 goal, over 4,000 backers, and just about a week left to go. And you can pledge at its most popular level of $55.
Yeah, so in Overlord,
a
this
boss
is like
monster adventure.
Exactly. So if you've played Boss Monster, you have a vague idea of the general mechanics. For those of you who haven't played Boss Monster like myself, essentially what Boss Monster is you're the boss monster of like a dungeon, and you build out your dungeon and fill it with minions, and whoever builds the best dungeon wins based on various
heroes that run on your dungeon.
Yeah. Yeah. Now in Overlord, you've been running your dungeon for a while, and you've decided it's time to come out from the underworld and claim the above ground, the overland that you want to become the overlord of. I don't know.
Overworld.
Yeah, overworld. That's what I was looking for.
Yes.
So it's still kind of a tile laying thing where you're going to be laying different tiles on your little grid board.
Drafting.
You'll draft the tiles that you'll lay out there, and you're basically making like an old school like RPG style map,
like world
where
map.
it's like, yeah, like an old Zelda map, with its like 16-bit graphics.
It is very 16-bit.
And Based on the terrain you put out there, different types are scored differently. So like swamps get points for being adjacent to coasts and other swamps. Graveyards give a bonus to whoever has the most graveyards, and forests like increase the more you have. Like they go like 1, 3, 6, 10, 15, whether you have 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5 of them on your board. So it's one of those like tile laying games you're trying to play off different combos, and since you're drafting them, you're in theory, you have a little bit of say over like, hey, all right, I'm going to draft all the fucking forests. And then Zach sees that I'm drafting all the forests, is like, ha, maybe I'll go for forests, you fool. And meanwhile, Jeff just dominates swamps.
On each of these...
Gotta drain that swamp, man.
Drain the swamp. On each of the tiles, you'll also be recruiting monsters that will occupy the tiles. That'll be... also kind of like a different little collection thing with columns or rows, giving bigger bonuses depending on the types of monsters that are in them.
Yeah. And yeah, they score all kinds of bonuses, and ultimately at the end of the game, whichever one of you has built the best overland empire, you are the overlord and you win.
The most truly powerful map. Seems interesting. Yeah. This seems more interesting than the regular boss monster game was.
Agreed.
It seems like they've toned it down a little bit, but there's still a lot of variety with the different tile types, monster types. Like each tile type has a different monster type. So forests have kobolds, swamps have witch monsters,
caves have dragons.
Yep. And then there's different dungeon entrances. You'll be gathering crystals that will give you like an additional bonus layer for set collection. And
they can let you teleport monsters around.
Yep. So you can sort of adjust your...
portals let you move monsters and mini-bosses. Crystals let you multiply your power.
Yes. Yeah, and the portals will let you fix problems that happened that will inevitably pop up.
Yes.
And then there will be player boards. So like each of you is a different boss monster. So you'll have individual player powers on top of that. A solo mode, as everyone loves. I think so. Like the $55 version just comes with like a tile tower, which is like whatever.
It's like it's a laser cut wood tower from Broken Token
to stack the tiles in.
That's like the tower for terraforming Mars cards that you can draw and deal from.
It's an extra $15 from like the basic version, and then you get the market board, which is just somewhere to put the tiles that you're drafting.
Correct.
$15 for that, though? I mean, it seems like it's a deal, but you get the same stuff with,
It's a deal, but whether it's something you actually like, it feels very superfluous.
Yeah.
Like you don't need it at all.
Yeah. So it seems like they're adding also. So there's these command cards, which they seem like they are kind of like how those invasion cards work in Cartographers, where you get to like fuck with your opponent's map a little bit.
Yeah, that's what it looks like.
So there's some interactivity with other people where it's... I don't know exactly how it's working. It seems like it's just swapping tile placements.
Some are swapping, some is like you can get rid of one, but you put a new one there. Or swapping between two different spots. Yeah. Like move, swap, or replace.
Yeah. It seems like it's enough of a low enough scope of a game like this to where it's not going to be total nightmare rules-wise, which is nice.
Yeah.
Like, reminds me a little bit of Between Two Castles, kind of, because it has like a whole bunch of different tile types that you're trying to put into the right way, minus the cooperative element. So I guess maybe more of a Mad King than a Between Two Castles.
Yeah, although since they're all the same square and they fit in like the same general grid-ish, I could see that being related to more of a castles.
Maybe Between Two Cities without the cooperation.
Yeah.
Yes.
There you go. Sure.
Yes. It seems
just neat. The one city, please.
Yes. It seems neat. I like the graphics, the art, and etc. It's supposed to be out this October. Like, it's just a couple months out, so you don't have to wait a long time for it. And it's a decent price.
$40 is not too bad.
Yeah. There is also an expansion for Boss Monster that you can do as an add-on for this in case you care about getting all the Boss Monster, even though I didn't love Boss Monster. And shipping's not too bad. Like, $5 to $20 unless you're the rest of the world, which is 50 and up.
Sucks to be you, rest of the world.
Sucks to be you. So, $45 to $55, $60, $45 to $60 with shipping.
Yeah.
Like
I have very.
It's short. It's not a long game.
Adrian, what would you like to say?
Adrian wants to say nothing.
I have very little interest in owning this game myself, but I would be happy to play one of you guys' copies if you ended up getting it or someone else at game nights.
Yeah, it's a filler.
It looks interesting to try.
It seems unoffensive on all accounts.
Yeah.
Correct. Rahdo loves it. I love this game to pieces. This is phenomenal design. It is so engaging, so much fun. Richard Ham from Rahdo runs through.
Yeah.
Direct quote right there on the Kickstarter.
Yep. I always have more room for weird tile drafting games.
Yep.
Of 15 to 30 minutes. So maybe I'll back this one because it's literally right around the corner. I don't have to wait until June 2021 for a Kickstarter for once, I guess.
That's going to feel weird.
Yeah, weird.
You won't even have time to forget about it before you get it.
Before I get a pledge manager, I'm like, what did I spend money on?
Yeah. So that's Overlord, a boss monster adventure.
Last up in Kickstarter, we have the Terraforming Mars, a big box. 1.9, almost $2 million, over 16,000 backers, just about a day-ish left on this one.
2 days.
2 days.
Friday at 9 a.m.
Gotcha.
Our time, Mountain Daylight time.
Yeah, it's
Mountain Standard Daylight. Yeah, yes. Just mix them all together, Jeff.
That's fine. Who cares? Fuck daylight savings.
All right.
I agree.
You can pledge this one for $100 at its most popular level, like these other 10,533 people did.
Nice. So it's $100, Jeff, and that's going to get you all this stuff and the game?
No. So this is not just a big box. It is a big box, but it is also 3D tiles for cities, forests, and all of the special tiles. And then containers for all of the cubes and money and cards.
Yeah.
And then it has 3 new cards. Well, three cards that will add tiles into cards that already existed in the game. Like Demos Down will now have a big crater you put on the map.
Where you smash Demos into the planet.
Yes.
Oh, so you're telling me that if I send a moon down, I can't just immediately be like, all right, moon's down, let me just build right on top of that, right? That's what you're saying?
Correct.
Correct.
Also, they nerfed it.
Yes, they did.
Barely.
Yeah, so now it only removes 6 plants from an opponent and not 8 plants from an opponent.
Yeah.
As well as putting the tile on the board.
Yeah. They should also definitely, they won't, and I say this, I don't think this should actually be the case, because there's a lot of, tile restrictions about where you can place tiles. But it would be great if you had to place the tile adjacent to whatever opponent you killed their plants. So you can't just, kill the plants of, somebody who's not even on the board. It's no, they don't have a board presence. You can't kill their, plants that are in, cryo sleep coming from Earth.
Or, more logically, oh, they have that greenery there? Well, that's no longer there. There is now a crater where a moon just hit it.
Yeah.
Oh, God. That would be worse. Because you'd fuck over more than just the person whose greenery it was.
Exactly.
All of the new tiles, so the Great Dam, which lets you put an ocean tile where there could not normally be an ocean tile, that's getting a tile. And then the magnetic field generator tile, which I don't really ever see played that much because it's kind of expensive and it just gives you some terraform rating.
Yeah.
This gives you a better chance. Yeah, this gives you a little bit of a better shot at playing it because you can get whatever is on the board.
Yeah.
Because of it. So.
But these also all of these have on the what they show here is claim spots for the tiles. So like you claim the Demos down crater.
Yep.
So that would count as like a spot, I guess, for you
to
now?
like spread greenery from and shit like that. Yeah. Because a lot of times you have to play adjacent to something you already have down.
Yeah.
So they would help with that. And they all three do say they have a matching project cards. Like Demos down, you mentioned specifically, they've nerfed it. It's hard to say like
the other two now are they had to add a new card just because it now says you put a tile down for them.
Yes.
Have they confirmed that there's no other changes to the cards?
They have shown previews of Magnetic Field Generator that I saw that I didn't see any difference between the original.
Okay.
And then the Great Dam, I don't believe there was any difference in either.
Okay. And then they have the custom tiles for all of the other ones that already existed. Like the Nuclear Zone is a giant fucking mushroom cloud.
A lot of those things that people have made Etsy stores to make or 3D print files for, there's just now official tiles for.
Yeah.
24 city tiles, 9 ocean tiles, 40 greenery tiles.
And there are, it's not just all one sculpt, too.
No.
There are multiple different sculpts.
And the sculpts are supposed to fit together to make, like, actual mountain ranges and, like, little scenery that actually fits together. Nice.
Yeah, and, like, they form, like, little crater rims and things that, like, they're filled in and around with trees and...
On the preview, they've been adjusting some of the sculpts to look better. And
the ocean tiles look real good, too.
Yeah.
Yes,
sorry, Jeff. Go ahead. I'm talking.
All the markers and dividers, generation marker, Venus marker, Dominus marker, so they're going to be coming out with expansion stuff. They also have tiles that are just the cardboard punch-out. In case you don't want to use the 3D tiles, you can still use the cardboard punch-out for your game, so you're not missing out on that. A bunch of dividers to separate out all the expansions and stuff like that. There'll be multiple trays filled with tiles, trays for cards, trays for all the add-ons and project cards. They're adding in trade fleets, like molded ships for colonies. And then they're going to be the project card decks, project card box, deck box, corporation cards, prelude cards, player cube holders, and then there's some disappointing add-ons on top of all that.
Yeah.
So you can get everything, of course, with the big box, like $144 for the big box and the base game, $180 for everything.
No, the $180 one gives you all the expansions.
Oh, without the base game.
Yes, and it's $224 to get everything.
Which seems like a lot.
So like right now I have one expansion, I think, but I also don't know how interested I am in getting Venus. So like I just backed the regular big box, but you can add on the different expansions.
And what I distinctly remember from the last Kickstarter, which was what was the last Kickstarter?
That was Turmoil.
I was able to get colonies for like dirt cheap as an add-on. Like I got it for like $12, $14. I don't know if it was like a price error or whatever, but I remember being able to do add-ons for just much cheaper later for a pretty good deal.
Yeah. So that's what I'm hoping to get. I may just end up switch to the $80 one to give me all the expansions, and then just sort of
not deal with the box.
Just
the tiles and the promos.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, the small box.
No.
Yeah.
But like I like that you can get the dual layered player boards.
Yeah, so those have been on the BGG store for a little while.
Oh, okay.
So you have been able to get that, and then the Rover Mini first player marker that's been on the BGG store.
I knew that one was. Yeah.
The city domes, there's like 25 clear plastic domes you can put on top of the city tiles to make them domed cities.
To make it like more realistic, like when you're building a city in the first generation and there's no air and no heat.
Yeah.
Definitely don't need to spend $15 on those.
No.
Makes sense, but also now everything just looks like a little dome and that's it, instead of actually looking like different cities.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The trade fleets look nice. I like them.
Yes,
Trade fleets are nice.
All of their Battlestar Galactica and Star Trek and basically every other sci-fi show ship that they have.
Yeah.
Lightly ripped off. $60 for the metal cubes, 200 metal resource cubes. That seems like
way too much.
Yeah.
I want the metal cubes so bad, but not for anywhere near $60 fucking dollars.
Yeah.
Especially because they can add to your shipping cost.
Yeah.
Depending
Which
on where
makes
you're
sense
at.
because it's a bunch of fucking
Exactly.
metal.
Yeah.
But it's just the fact for me, at least, that they're just cubes, right?
Yeah.
They're just
Like
cubes.
if they were, like, if say they had like themed resources and they were like shaped like those, even if they're like if it was the same thing but like getting the same price, that still means more.
Yeah.
Versus
Yeah.
just it being a cube.
Yep.
Or if they'd been like stamped, like their metal pieces, like stamp them or engrave them or something.
Yeah, something.
Yeah.
$50 for 550 card sleeves. That comes out to about 9 cents a sleeve. They are printed with the various backs of the different decks and things like that, but like, do I need to spend $50 on sleeves? No.
And again, no. But
Especially 'cause
man,
knowing-
I want to.
knowing
The
their
backs of
quality,
those.
it's probably
That's
not going to be
my
good
concern.
sleeves. Yeah.
That's yeah.
And for me, at least, like I much prefer matte sleeves versus regular sleeves. So,
Yeah.
and I know those aren't going to be matte. So,
No. But man, I like those custom backs.
I mean, yeah, they look good.
It's nice,
yeah.
but $50 nice?
No, I agree. No.
Yeah.
Yeah. Shipping for this one's
$20 minimum?
reasonable for the States. Yeah. Small box 18, big box 19, all the way up to that corporate $200 and some pledge is $34.
Speaking of screw you, rest of the world, if you get the CEO, the corporate CEO, it costs as much as the game, $224 to ship it.
I know. Fucking hell.
But I know the rest of the world is like really like, it's really hard to get some mail to them. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
also, like, the rest of the world, if you've got $500 to spend on a fucking board game,
hmm
you're doing all right in the rest of the world.
Yes, you are.
Yeah. I mean, even just with the regular $100 pledge, it's still $180,
Exactly.
which is more
Than the game.
than just the base game.
At that point, you might as well spend the extra
Dude.
220.
Yeah. It's nuts. So yeah, there's
The nice
like
thing-
3D tiles.
Yeah.
Extra copies basically like scale really well because they include shipping. So
Yes.
definitely, like, if you live in rest of the world, like, find some friends
Yeah.
to
I mean-
order with you.
Because I mean, if you got two people with big box copies, that's $9.50 for shipping versus like for each person versus $20. So
Yes. Yeah. But yeah. My other like vague concern about this is like so I have a few concerns. So one, a lot of the shit is expensive and they didn't exactly wow me with quality the first time around, so I'm very skeptical about what the quality will be of a lot of this shit. Especially because a lot of the things seem to be like digital images, not any kind of like real physical thing.
Yeah.
right.
But the other thing that like concerns me a bit, I don't want a box that's this fucking big. Like, I have every expansion except Venus, and it fits in the base box with a broken token organizer. Like, the fucking big box is huge.
So this is where you get the small box that has. I mean, they specifically have that because it's. Oh, do you want to keep your game in one box and the 3D tiles in another? Then this is for you.
Yeah. Then
So-
I have two boxes
That is probably going to be about the size of the big
of
box.
the big box. Exactly. Exactly.
So you could save yourself $20 by doing that.
Also, I don't think there's a good cost-effective way to do that and get everything. Which, granted, I guess I don't actually need everything
No.
because I have everything except Venus. Okay, you've saved me from that mistake, Zach. So thank
You're
you.
welcome.
I don't
Whereas
know.
for me, I only have the base game and I have the Hellas and Elysium, and then I have an insert for it, but it was one of those like foam core ones you could buy.
Yeah.
So I'm not married to it or anything, and I would much rather have everything in one box. So that's why I'm going to be going for the big box, especially because I have all the expansion stuff, which some of it can fit in that insert, but not all of it. So, and I do like that the big box comes with the ability to hold everything, like even the extra add-ons and stuff. So, because that would be silly if it did not.
Yeah. So, and that brings up another problem I have. Is like, so the $10 add-ons pledge specifically says you get none of the bonus things.
Yes.
Like, fuck you, you're out.
So the only way to get the promos is to get the small box at the minimum.
Yeah.
So I know at least a couple people that were like, I don't care about those 3D tiles. I either don't care about or they actively look ugly. So I feel bad for those people that can't just get the promos.
Like, which I guess, I don't know. For me, like I misread. So I'm taking some of this back. I had misread on the like sidebar with the pledges. Something about the way that was framed. Well, no, add-ons. Oh, that's not add-ons are not included. It made me think that it was another copy of Terraforming Mars in the small box.
Gotcha.
And I was like, I don't need another copy of Terraforming Mars. But no, so this one is just the 3D tile. So I could get the small box. I could add on Venus, and then I'd have everything, I guess, at that point.
And I know there were a good amount of people that were expecting like this to include Venus, or not Venus, the base game.
Yeah.
For like the $100 or like $100, but then you also get extra stuff. So the fact that it is just the extra stuff in storage feels a little
like
not super great.
Yeah, $79 for just the tiles and nothing else real. The tiles and the promos.
Yeah, you don't get any of the storage or anything like that. Yeah.
I
mean, you get the storage for
the tiles,
but that's it.
Yeah, which for me, I guess, isn't as big of a deal because Megan got me the broken token because we loved Terraforming Mars so much. She sprung for that, so that's nice, I guess. I just really don't know how to feel about some of this. I don't know, man. Because I don't want to carry around a second box, so I'm not going to pull out I'm probably going to just have to pass. I want the add-ons, but I don't have a good way to get them without spending way more money for shit I won't use.
I want to say they added an add-on pledge.
No, but he means like the promos.
The promos.
Yeah, I think there's
an add-on one, but you specifically do not get access to the promos.
Yeah.
The milestones unlocked during this project are not part of this pledge level and are not available through this pledge level. So the cheapest way to get them is to spend $80.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Let me rephrase that. $97 because you have to pay for shipping.
Yes.
Exactly.
I wouldn't be surprised if they land on like the BGG store at some point or another, like all the rest of the promos have.
Yeah. Because, man, some of those are good.
Yep.
There's even a card that you can only use if you've landed an asteroid and taken plants away from someone. You must have removed plants at some point in the game, and then you can play this
Crash Site Cleanup. No, that's a different one.
Yeah,
Is that one?
Yeah.
No, it's Crash Site Cleanup. Right. Yeah.
Oh, and it's just a player removed another player's plants this generation.
Yep.
Yeah. Not specifically you.
Yeah.
You could nuke Adrian's, and then you're like, oh, well, I'm gonna go get
Clean that sucker
steal
right
that
up.
tile then.
Yep. Yeah. I don't know, man. There's stuff to like about this, but for people who, and this is one of the things that frustrates me when games do this, especially like this recent in the overall life cycle of the game. Like all the people who have spent their money and invested in the game and like own most of the shit get fucked, and it's like, well, what the shit did we support you for? I don't know. I'm
for
a little
buying an insert.
Right, like, yeah.
Well, I mean, you don't support them by getting an insert.
But they definitely worked with Broken Token to do that. Like they advertise, like I remember seeing advertisements from Stronghold for the Broken Token organizer. Like,
No, I do think it feels a little weird that you can't get a promo tier, but what are you gonna do?
Yeah, especially because like, where's the add-on section? How much do they have Venus listed as an add-on?
You would have to find out that in the Pledge Manager because they don't have them listed right now.
Oh yeah, they don't. Like, I could see like the add-ons, like just the base $10 pledge doesn't include promos, but if you spend X amount, because then I'd be more likely to. Like I might go for the Rover Mini, or maybe like if I did the $10 add-ons and that $10 is a credit, maybe I jump up for the metal resource cubes. So I spend $50 for the resource cubes. Well, I spend 60, but then I also get all the promos. Like then maybe I'd spring for that because that's something I could use, or the 50 for the card sleeves. I'm done venting about it. They do at least allow you to pledge $1 and decide later, so you can do that too.
And that's the Terraforming Mars Big Box.
Indeed. Podcast number 1 most popular game, but maybe not podcast number 1 most popular big box Kickstarter.
Box to contain the rest of said game.
Yeah. So that wraps up news and Kickstarters, which brings us over to listener feedback, starting with an email.
Emails at milehighgameguys.com if you'd like to send us an email. Like Snyder? I'm not sure he ever says his name. Juror? In follow-up to his -2 to 2 rating scale.
He says in his other email, it's Jeremy.
Jeremy. Okay. Jeremy, with clarifications on the OBGR SOTM HGG trademark, his -2 to 2 rating system. Jeff, despite your glorious hair, you're going to have a hard time winning me back onto Team Jeff. You questioned why the not yet affirmed OBGR SOT MHGG trademark starts at -2. The answer is simplicity itself. You may notice that negative ratings are negative opinions, whilst the positive ratings are positive opinions on the game. That is why a 5-star system encourages 4-star ratings, called a J-curve, which there is a link to a blog post from a UI designer website of why 5-star user review rating systems do not work, which I've read, which is why I know what that is. By giving a clear guidance, negative rating means I don't like it, positive means I did, you can capture a more accurate rating. Think of it as 1 or 2 thumbs up or down, not just 1 to 5 thumbs up. I'm sorry to use science to prove a point during a discussion in an online medium, so let me finish by saying, you're wrong, Jeff. Maybe if you spent less time growing hair and breaking bones, you'd understand simple rating systems. Now, I can understand using a -2 to 2 rating system for a user review system like your research blog has shown, but I like a 5-star rating system as a reviewer to give a score to something versus a 10, like 1 to 10 rating system, like a lot of video game websites do. Like the reviewers that I want to go to give it a 5-star rating system. Like if you give it a 3-star, maybe you could think of that as like a 6 or 7. A 4-star, an 8 or 9, and a 5-star, like, is a very high rating.
Yeah,
but the J-curve only works with user review and like mass reviewing of something. So I could see like if you got a whole big conglomeration of reviewers, might be able to have that J-curve happen. But as someone that would want to give a score to something, that feels different than mass review on something, say like Amazon, that uses like a 5-star rating.
Yeah.
Which is what the blog post is talking about, not just like giving a review score to something.
Yeah. It's definitely more geared towards user scores, but I can understand, especially like if you're trying. For instance, I think this could be something that like BGG could do better with. Yeah. Like the simplicity of, especially when he equates it to thumbs, like 1 or 2 thumbs up and or down. Like if it's a thumb up and a thumb down, like there's good and there's bad and it's meh, then it's a 0. If it's 1 thumb down, it's -1. 2, it's whatever. You get it. Like that makes sense. I think that especially using a -2 to +2 scale for like a review score would definitely be one of those like things where that could be your niche, that like nobody else does them that way. This is your unique way of doing your scores that works. And like, especially for us where we have such different opinions, I could see that you could then combine, my -2 for a game, Zach's 1, and your 2, and be like, it comes out to a podcast 1. Yeah. And that means the podcast overall feels generally positive about it. And that might work for us in this situation. Terraforming Mars, average 2 thumbs up.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
That all being said, I'm still not sold. Yeah, I don't know. The 2 thumbs up, down, that helped. That brought me closer to accepting it. I was never as negative as Jeff, but that brought me closer to
I just don't like throwing
it.
Negative opinions on things. Be like, this is below 0. I just don't like that scale. But I can understand the thumbs up, thumbs down, like you said.
Yeah. So maybe we adopt a 1 to 2 thumbs up, down, and then we just call it something other than the OBGR SOT MHGG scale. And zeros are it's 1 thumb up, 1 thumb down.
Yeah.
It's the Gladiator movie when he's got his thumb to the side and he's like, up, down, up, down. No, you don't know what I'm going to do, except I'm a dick, Joaquin. So I go thumbs down.
That is the official board game rating system of the Mile High Game Guys trademark.
The Joaquin scale?
Yes.
Also, going back to you were talking about video game scores, I definitely have a problem with the 10-point scale in video game scores because it seems like nobody uses the full fucking
7
range.
Or 8. That's where everything lands. Yep.
Yeah.
Anything less, anything 6 or less, you're like, oh, that must be a garbage game then.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I hate that shit. And I feel like this scale, one of the benefits of this scale, I will say, is that it feels less prone to that. Where this would actually, I could see us, if we adopted this scale, using the full scale. I would emphatically give Rising Sun 2 very firm thumbs all the way down. 100%. And, I could see Zach giving, most 18XX is probably 2 thumbs down, but I could see him giving, Food Chain 1 thumbs down. And that seems fair.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
Doomseeker, 2 thumbs down.
2 thumbs down, yes.
Components, 1 thumb up.
Yeah. Adrian, you haven't played it, but go ahead and throw 2 thumbs down on it.
Yeah?
Yeah.
All right.
What's an even more bullshit Munchkin that you could possibly think of? Well, they made
it.
They made it. Oh, you wanted to fight
no.
that monster? Oh, I'm going to fight that monster. And then I can draw more cards that give me more cards that let me fight that monster instead of you. But you don't get to fight another monster. We just skip your turn.
We just skip your turn.
Yeah.
Oh, my God.
Yeah, it's bad. It's real bad. Anyways.
So, yeah.
Emails.
That's ratings.
At milehighgameguys.com.
Indeed. Continuing listener feedback, we had a new YouTube comment from Paulo's Corner. Paulo comments on episode 191, The Trend Continues, and he says, "Great to have you guys back, missed your banter. I'm sad because I had a big comment on podcast 189, but you didn't address it." In fact, we did, Paulo. Unfortunately, the episode that we addressed it on has been temporarily sucked into a temporal vortex where it's just spinning in this weird ephemeral realm where it neither exists nor doesn't exist. And so although we all have memories of recording it, there's no current physical proof. That may change in the future, in which case it will be full of temporal anomalies like Kickstarters from 5 weeks ago.
Or they just don't exist at all.
Or there's just no Kickstarters.
In time and space.
Yeah. The point is we don't know what's going to happen. But there was an answer and a response to that comment, and it was a good response.
Yeah,
full of discussion.
You're going to assume that it was the best response you've ever gotten on it.
Yeah. This isn't the response. This is just a tribute. You have to believe it was the best response ever.
And it didn't even sound like this.
No, nothing like this.
Now we're just singing Tenacious D lyrics.
Exactly.
But no, seriously, we're trying to decide what to do with that episode. It kind of fell into a weird spot with editings and everything, and now we don't know what to do with it. So maybe it'll be a bonus episode. Maybe it'll fill in one of these weeks when we have Jeff's internet shit out. Maybe we'll just copy out the relevant parts, like our responses to your YouTube comments, and we'll throw those on a different episode. The point is we don't have answers to those questions. So keep asking them, and we'll keep doing like a vague shrug with a and we'll see where it goes.
Correct.
See where it goes.
That concludes listener feedback.
Yes.
Which lets us move over to some contact information. If you would like to participate in listener feedback, if you want to get a hold of us, if you want to hear us talk about your stuff on the show, provided it's not lost in a temporal vortex, there's multiple ways to get a hold of us. You can send us emails.
Emails at milehighgameguys.com.
You can message us over on Twitter, where I tweet under @MHGameGuys.
I am Zach_MHGG.
I am Jeff_MHGG.
You can find us on Instagram, where we have @MHGameGuys as our account over there. We're also on Facebook, facebook.com/MHGameGuys. And we have a website, milehighgameguys.com, where there are episode posts, including links to the news and Kickstarter items we talk about, as well as links to things like our Slack channel, where you can come participate in all manner of different discussions about things like, I don't know, in the movie and TV discuss channel, it's been May and Wes doing spoiler threads of season 3 of Dark, yelling back and forth at each other in all caps. The news and politics channel has been real fun lately, let me tell you. If you really want to feel great about the world, come join our Slack and get in the news and politics channel. Board game channel is basically Arkham Horror LCG, So if you're into that, come join us. All of the good conversations and making fun of us for our incredibly inconsistent recording and release schedule of the last 3 months. All of that right there in the Slack channel.
And communication on that schedule.
Yes. The schedule itself and the lack of communication about the schedule. Mm-hmm. And if you're in Denver, you can join the local channel and find out when we do, socially distanced taco lunch in front of Torchies on the grass /wall. We have the blonde chair crew and the brick wall crew that are the same crew. Fun stuff. There's also a link over there on the website's post to our BGG guild number 2731. You can join over there. That will be more active when we get back to streaming and stuff. That's where we posted streaming and Q&As and things like that. And when we start doing some of that stuff again, as we return to hopefully some semblance of normal, the BGG guild will be more active. And last but not least, there's our Twitch channel, twitch.tv/MHGameGuys. And we are still working on figuring out when we all feel comfortable hanging out in a very enclosed, very warm, muggy studio in my garage and just really breathing in all of what everyone else is breathing out while we play games and record episodes and stuff like that. So keep an eye on the Twitch. When we start getting back together in the studio, we'll start doing live streams again. Live streams of the recordings for these episodes, live streams of board game playthroughs, things like that. We're just, trying not to kill each other yet. At least not with COVID.
Yes.
That's all the different ways to get a hold of us. Last but not least, we would like to thank our sponsors, Gray Fox Games. They have supported us through all of this hodgepodge COVID episode stuff, and we really appreciate that. If you would like to support our sponsors, their latest Kickstarter for Science, you can still jump over to the page for that on Kickstarter and click the late pledge here button and pledge on that cooperative dexterity game where you are building cures to various viruses using some really interesting dexterity stacking of a bunch of weird shapes and pieces on the board. You can also find pre-orders for that over on their website at grayfoxgames.com. Jeff, do you have a prepared statement for us today?
Absolutely. Gray Fox Games, quality games, cleverly crafted. Also, actually, I'm in really bad shape financially. I pay money to my ex-wife as part of our divorce settlement, among other bills. I just had no choice but to make you pay for lunch the other day. I'm really sorry. Yes, that is a Metal Gear Solid quote.
Okay. So it's be like, Jeff, did you switch from Metal Gear Solid quotes to like real life quotes?
Nope.
Because, I don't know.
I have a job.
You have it. That does not guarantee that you have money.
Yeah, very, very fair.
Yeah. Right on. I think that wraps everything up. So we're going to get out of here. I have to be at work in 7 hours.
I have to be at work in like, I don't know, a while. It's a while.
Yeah, you've got till the afternoon tomorrow.
Yes.
So, Zach and I have to work in the morning tomorrow.
Correct.
Yeah.
But yeah, that wraps up the episode. Thanks everybody for listening, and we'll catch you next time. As always, I have been your host, Adrian.
I am still Zach.
And I'm Jeff in a box.
Bye.
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 Punchboard Media, where we all
bring something
to the table.
Pull up a chair
at punchboardmedia.com.